the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
They're a mid-Eastern Conference playoff team. But the thing that they've really got to figure out is, they're playing a defense that's a very aggressive defense, lots of showing, lots of the center being high up in the pick and roll actions, and that pulls them away from the basket. And that leaves them with two problems. One is defensive rebounding. If Jalen Johnson gets healthy, that helps a lot of that because they just need a big rebounding power forward. And they have that in Jalen Johnson. They don't have John Collins now because he's in Utah. But with Jalen Johnson is healthy, then they can kind of get that. If the big is up, you've got his rebounding four, who's probably the second best rebounder on the team behind Capela. And then the other thing they've got to figure out is, okay, you've got the big up, you've constantly pulling in the defender on the weak side, who's the low man. He's got to be close to under the basket. And a lot of times that's a guard. Sometimes it's a forward. But when they do that, they're getting absolutely chomped up on back cuts, like worst in the league by like a standard deviation. Like they're just not good at that. And they have to have better awareness. I don't know. I want to ask Quin Snyder when they're back in Atlanta, like, how do you get more aware? Do you have to have your defender who's under the rim, like watching two things at the same time? Do you need somebody telling him in his ear, hey, cut? What is it so that guy who's there zoning up sort of the weak side, trying to protect the rim, trying to, be the blocker in the paint when, cutters and guys come down the lane, like he's got to be more aware of the one coming in from the backside. And right now they're just not, and they're terrible at it. And there are a couple of culprits. Right now, Saddiq Bey is a big culprit for that. He's got to be better. He's got to work on a couple of things. One is, being more aware of where these cuts are coming from, and then just the nuances of position, like being 2 feet to the left or to the right makes a big difference in that situation. He doesn't look entirely comfortable yet. So hopefully with more reps, better recognition, he will get more comfortable in that, where right now it doesn't look particularly good, and it makes the absence of Jalen Johnson hurt that much more.
Yeah, and it's just also like your expectations or what's realistic. Is that really realistic for Saddiq Bey? And based on what we've seen from him to this point in the career, he's still not an old, like what is he, 24, 23? What is Saddiq at this point?
I want to say he's in his fourth season. I'm not sure about age.
Okay. At that point, like fourth season in the NBA, is he going to become like a great defender? Probably not. That probably is not going to be a thing. It's just a little bit better. Like you said, the 2 feet, just incrementally a little bit more than what we've gotten to this point.
Yeah, like he might not be a great defender, but he has to be better in that situation.
Yeah.
And this might be his first season in that specific type of situation, like that. He probably hasn't been in a scheme that has done it this much. I know with the Hawks last year, he wasn't in this situation as much as he is now, which is like, 50% of the plays that he's on the court. Like, I know it wasn't like that for him last season. So I do think reps are important, even if he has some NBA experience. It's just not something they've done that much of up until this point.
What did you see? Because Jalen, I think, has been the story this year. Up until the injury, what Jalen was doing, I did not see coming. Like, I was pretty high on AJ Griffin in that pick and what we saw last year. And it seems like, to this point, at least, Jalen's the big winner from the Quin hire, and AJ's probably the big loser to this point. And things can change, but it just seems like it was going to go one of two ways with those two guys, because it's just, there's only so many minutes, there's only so many opportunities, and someone's going to, especially with Collins moving on, it just kind of opened the door, because AJ just can't play that stretch four at this point in his career. Maybe he doesn't grow into that kind of size and that kind of ability, but Jalen just took off, and it was something like we didn't really see. We saw maybe inklings last year. I don't know if you saw, but that's what I'm curious about, because did I miss something with Jalen that this was coming, that he could become? I mean, there's all-star potential with Jalen Johnson based on what we saw before the injury. I mean, what did you see about Jalen before this year, and what do you think he can still evolve and even get better at when he comes back from injury?
I don't think there are too many surprises, because I do think that the starting points were there. Like, we knew he was a great rebounder. Like, he just high points the ball beautifully. We knew that he's got great vision when he's looking for teammates, and he's got very good handles, especially in the open floor and transition.
Go. Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.